2021 release of all the movies. Now I'm not counting Venom 2 and everything like that. I'm keeping it 100. Venom 1 and 2, they just want to introduce Venom. That's the only reason they put these movies out, because both of them was just like, I don't know why they were filler. Both of them was just filler. The plot line wasn't that good, and the special effects was cool, but other than that, the movies, they were just all right. I ain't really the end credit scenes is the best part of Venom.
Yeah, you see they pushed back Mobius too.
Yeah,
They did.
They pushed it back to April.
Because of the pandemic.
Nah, they could rewrite something else. They rewrited something else. They had to rewrite some more stuff in there. So they pushing it back.
Probably do some reshoots.
Yeah, they got to do some reshoots, so they pushing it back. But yeah,
I didn't see
I'm
that.
definitely looking forward to movies. Well, Jared Leto just one of them. Jared Leto's a great. So I that's why I hate what they did to him in Suicide Squad with rewriting the script and everything.
They saw the Doctor Strange trailer and they were like, "No, we gotta go back and fix something."
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
look at Doctor Strange movie, like it's gonna be dope.
It's gonna be,
especially if you seen What If.
Yeah, and then the first the first one, I mean, Doctor Strange, the first one, it was a good movie, but it was a filler movie for me. It was another origin story filler movie. Same way how they did with Captain Marvel. You just gotta put it out there because you got them in the movie, so you gotta put something out there for people to know. Because Captain Marvel, that's all filler to me. That movie was all filler. And Doctor Strange is cool. Those are the kind of movies I haven't went back and watched again. I watched them, but I don't. Those are not on my go back and watch again Marvel movies.
Doctor Strange actually ain't that bad.
It's not
bad.
But it's way better. It's way better than Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
Well, a lot of movies, but Captain Marvel was just like, all right, she's supposed to be strong. We're gonna put her in here and we're gonna let her go.
But the crazy thing is, I even disagree with the notion that you got to introduce them like they got to have a movie before they in a movie. Now, I know this analogy or comparison is terrible, but it still warrants. So like for instance, with Spider-Man, like I know everybody knows Spider-Man, so the distinct seeing them is different. But you can put them in there and explain who they are later. Like I mean, because or you can put a little bit of who they are, but not really who they are, and then you can explain that later on in something else. Once you can build buzz for the character,
but yeah,
you put Captain Marvel in.
I feel like that. I feel like that would work. But it goes against, like I said, your first point when you know who the character is.
Yeah, but you still don't. But
if you know Spider-Man, you know Spider-Man in anywhere because Spider-Man.
But you know. But as you see the movies of Spider-Man, you see this Spider-Man is different from the Spider-Man that we've seen. My whole thought is that like you can see them and know. That's why I said it wasn't a great comp. But the point of you can put them in and then explain Black Panther, like you can put them in and give a little bit of their information, but then do them a movie.
But a lot of them too, you already knew that movie was coming out before they was introduced in the movie. You already knew that origin movie was coming out already. So you was already.
But I'm saying that. But I would did the same thing with Captain Marvel. Like, okay, they can't. I'm sure something's coming. If they did it after seeing her in the movie. But I understand that one more dollar ain't gonna hurt before you in the saga.
She made $1.1 billion. So I mean,
because it came out right before. It came out right before.
It did, and she was in the commercial, so people went to go see it because they're like, "Oh, this is gonna be important."
Great marketing.
You could have not seen that movie.
That's great marketing.
And been fine. They got me too. No, I watched that at home.
No, I went to the movies and saw that. I think all of them pre-pandemic I went to the movies and saw. I think pre-pandemic.
They got y'all, not that one.
Yeah, I saw.
I look at the commercial and tell that when I see Blockbuster, I can watch it at home.
I think I've seen every Marvel movie in the movie theaters. I think I've seen every.
No, I haven't done that. No, I ain't see Doctor Strange in the movie theaters.
No. You're right. Nah, I didn't see Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or Doctor Strange.
I don't think I saw any of them. I don't think I see any of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies in theaters either.
Damn, you're right.
I did.
Yeah, I think I.
Because I didn't know who they were at first, so I was like, "This is another Marvel movie. I might not." And then
honestly, I didn't even see.
Like, my bad. The first one.
I didn't see the first. I didn't see the first event. The first Captain America movie in theater. You remember? Because we were sitting in the movie theater. Remember when we went to see Winter Soldier, and I hadn't seen the first one because I didn't know who Bucky was until after the movie.
Yeah, I didn't. I had to go back and rewatch the first Avenger 2. The only two Marvel movies I have not seen is Thor. I haven't watched Thor 1 or Thor 2.
You ain't missing a lot.
Yeah, those are the only ones I haven't seen. I've seen everybody.
It's good. It's good to watch them just to see them. Just say you seen them, but
not Thor 2. Not Thor 2.
I think I asked you that.
Terrible.
Because I think I asked you because I was like, I knew when you look at the movies in order how all the Avengers were shown in all the movies. That's why I asked you. I was like, bro, where did Hawkeye come in? You told me he was in the first Thor. So I was like, okay, because I knew Black Widow was in Iron Man 2 and everybody else had their own movie. But I was like, where Hawkeye come from? And you told me he was in the first.
You ain't missing nothing from it though.
No, I went back and Googled it. I was like, Hawkeye coming in. Then I was like, oh, this is the what if part. Okay.
Yeah. The same like it wasn't what if.
Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, I went back and watched a lot of the movies and I look at, okay, all of this makes sense now. All of this completely makes sense. And speaking of making sense, which one of these 4 movies didn't make sense to you that you didn't want to keep it anymore? Because the 4 movies that came out last year, Black Widow should have been came out, but we're gonna let that alone. The Eternals, what was that? Shang-Chi and Spider-Man No Way Home.
Right.
Out of those 4, I kind of think I know where Mike gonna go. Out of those 4, which one of those gotta go? I think I kind of know where Mike gonna go. So whichever one of y'all want to go first, y'all can go. But on this episode, who you got? One of these 4 Marvel movies gotta go. Which one gotta go?
You go ahead, Rob.
It's kind of like it's kind of like the conversation we had in the other episode when we talked about the different TV shows. Because I'm kind of torn between.
They always kind
of Black. I'm torn. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm torn between Black Widow and Shang-Chi. Like those are my 2 because Black Widow felt just like Captain Marvel. It was just a movie. It was a filler movie just to put a movie out, just to say this is a little bit like the origin. Like they could have been told 10 movies ago what the hell happened in Budapest. Like that for it to have been talked about so much, and all they did was blow a building up and didn't even kill anybody when they blew the building up. Like like that was just so anticlimactic for something that we have been talking about since the second Iron Man. So that was that, and then
that movie should have been came out. That movie should have been
Shang-Chi.
It should have came out with phase 1. It should have
phase 1. Yeah, Black Widow should have been came out.
It could have been a Black Widow and Hawkeye movie in phase 1.
It could have. Yeah. And Shang-Chi for me. So the biggest thing I got is like, if a part of your movie gonna be bad, let it be the first act. Like, don't let it be the third act. The third act, Shang-Chi, like I could deal without, like because you
That's
do
my problem.
all
Yeah.
You do all of this, and then we get to fight this mythical spider monster. Like
because you heard a whisper.
Like that plot point was so terrible to me.
You heard a whisper, and my wife is telling me to set her free. She been dead for how long?
Right.
And so
25 years.
I'm stuck between the first the plot of Black Widow wasn't great, but the first act of Black Widow to me was, I think it was the first act that I think I didn't really love. Second and third were pretty good, or it might be the second.
Introducing her sister,
something like that.
Was introduced.
Yeah, once you got to the
second act,
basically first act. So it probably had to be the second where it got slow, and then the end is where it picked up again.
Yeah,
Shang-Chi, the first 2 acts were pretty good. The last act was terrible. But to me, it was a Bruce Lee movie in 2021. Like, now that don't mean it was bad. It just is what it was.
Cinematography wise, it was shot well. It was shot well.
But because my pet peeve is that you can't end a movie horribly, the way they ended their movie horribly, that's probably the one I choose, just because I had people out there saying that like Shang-Chi was like their second favorite Marvel movie, and I was trying to figure out how.
I was like, this is a mid 7. This is a hot 7.
So I'm somewhere
people get really hung up on action. That's why.
Yeah, that's what.
Because the fight scenes was It was good fight scene.
That's why. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so
That's why.
I'm somewhere stuck between Black Widow and Shang-Chi. So I'm probably Black Chi, if that can be one movie. Like that's probably where I'm at. So like somewhere stuck between them. I probably can't really decide between the two of them because they both are three. I mean, I'm not saying the other two movies are perfect, but between 3 acts, like they ended Shang-Chi so horribly. If they would have ended it better, I probably would like it more. Like you killed the dad too early. Like you had this advertised like the battle for the world, and he did before the even real battles get started.
And then the son don't even kill him. Somebody else kill him. I was like, he don't even kill him.
Yeah, and you really didn't explain too how he took the rings. Like you kind of told me that he could do this little slide move. Is that the key? Like I'm not understanding. Yeah, I'm not understanding how. Like, and then they go from blue to yellow. Like, I mean, you kind of explained it too. And then Juan, then you give me this post credit scene where Juan confused me more than what I was confused from the phone.
One of the most useless. Bro is one of the most useless Marvel characters. He's there for comedic relief. Bro is.
He is though, but he's funny though.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's funny. He do a great job of what he does for.
Oh yeah,
he's excellent. He's excellent in his comedic relief.
Yes, because he don't do nothing. He's like, bro, I don't want no part of this.
He do though. He tell you that though. He's straight up front. I like that too. That he's straightforward. I don't want none of that. See nothing.
I'm good.
Don't bother me.
All right, Mike.
All right, you go, Mike. Like I said, I'm Black Chi. Black Chi.
So flip a coin. One day it's gonna be Black Widow. Next day it's gonna be Shang-Chi. So here what it is.
Yeah, I'm going straight with Black Widow. For numerous reasons. One, 10 years too late. Two,
Mike had this wrote down. You tell how he jumped in. He's like, yeah, I already had this.
Two horrible villains. Two horrible villains.
Right, that villain. You think that villain was worse than that Spider Monster?
Huh?
You think that villain was worse than that Spider Monster?
So the real villain was his dad. The real villain was his dad in Shang-Chi.
The real villain was the thing they followed.
But either way, dude kidnapping girls, one for the Black Widow program, and two, somebody with a chip in their neck so that they can fight. Like, it was so disrespectful to the actual Taskmaster in the comic.
It was though. They did a better version of Taskmaster with Echo than they did with Maya Lopez than they did with the actual Taskmaster.
But we're talking about in Hawkeye.
Yeah, Echo.
Yeah. She was better at mimicking the moves than Taskmaster was with a chip in her head.
She was just like, okay.
Yeah, but so that and also Black Widow, it reminded me of Fast and Furious because Black Widow should have died about 15 times in that movie. Like the moment when she got blown up when she first got hit on the bridge with the bomb and tumbled about 15 times. Then when he kicked her off and she hit the vehicle leaning over the bridge and fell into the water like dead twice in the first 15 minutes, you dead twice. And then when she fell off the thing when they were chasing the tower was falling, and she just somehow landed on her feet. Like she was a cat. And I was like, that's 3. But it was like 10 times where I was like, she's not superhuman, okay? She's not Captain America. Like I wasn't saying Captain America.
She took that serum before.
Yeah, unless she got.
But I'm saying like
she got that serum.
Unless she do. The best part about this is where it come down to with me. The best part about Black Widow was Yelena.
Yeah, her
sister. Was the best part.
Yeah, her sister was the best part.
So it's like the best part about your movie is another character. If that's only not the action, not the plot, not the villain, the introduction of another character, then you just what was the purpose? What was the reason?
Just watch Black Widow.
They did very good. They did very good in casting Yelena though. I love
Yelena.
And you got to see her range in Hawkeye, like how.
Yeah. And Florence Pugh was already a great actress in and of herself. So
she's hilarious. She's funny. She was funny in Black Widow.
She's such a good actress. But yeah, everything else is just like at least Shang-Chi gave me great action.
Yeah, I can give you that. I mean, I think the overall
the problem that I had with Shang-Chi is one is the same. It's literally the same plot line as Black Panther.
Yeah.
And they both fumbled the bag in the third act, both of those movies, with the whole CGI battle shit. Which I hate that Marvel does that and feel like they got resort to that because a lot of times the best stuff be the personal stuff. Like if it would just been him and his dad fighting and that been the brutal fight, like Captain America and Iron Man fighting.
I was gonna say,
then it would have been.
If
they would have been fighting in the house or something like that would have been much more. I would have preferred the plot line be something along the lines, since their mom has died, he has been like getting deeper and deeper back into his to the whole taking over stuff, and he's trying to move on something serious on to the US or on like trying to conquer some shit, and he gotta, you know what I mean? Then I've been like, okay, father, you gotta fight your dad. You got to, right? It makes sense. But the whole mom spirit thing, just so that you got a reason to bring these dragons back, then I'm like,
that's what made Winter Soldier so good. It felt like personal.
It was personal. And they took what would have been a personal element out of Shang-Chi. You know what I mean? They took that out.
They did.
So at least even though I hated the third act of Black Panther, at least it came down to a fight between T'Challa and Killmonger. At least it came down to that. You know,
that was a scrimmage.
Yeah. So it's like but other than that, so at least Shang-Chi did the Marvel formula well. At least, like, it did their formula well. Black Widow was just like, why? What was the purpose? What was the purpose? Like,
because you could, it felt the same way. You remember how you was talking about previously about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, how they could have been the end of, or they could have been in the Captain America movie. Like, I felt like the Black Widow movie could have been in an Avengers movie, or it could have been in like it could have been something else. It could have been an Iron Man. It could have been a part of another movie, and we could have just got the mouse.
Right.
They waited like 10 years of my life talking about Budapest.
You remember like in Age of Ultron when they went to Hawkeye's house?
Yes, that's exactly what they could have done. And they could have gave me enough of that. Like because you remember they did you remember Nat had that moment on the bed and she kind of was glazing out. Like when they got back, so when they got to the house, remember she Bruce Banner was coming out the bathroom. She was sitting on the bed and she was rubbing her ear. You could have built on a flashback. You could have went there. Now they I mean, you know, like that was in actually that was in what's it called? But like you could have made it Age of Ultron. But you could have easily while they were at the house during Age of Ultron, you could have been like, you remember them days, remember back in Budapest, and be like, what? Like anybody in the house could have been like, okay, I'm so tired of hearing about Budapest. Like, what happened?
Like, this movie would have been received better for me if it would have came out like right after Civil War.
Yeah,
because this literally in timeline, this when it comes out. So
this is like, this is 4 years, 5 years too late.
You know what I'm saying? So like at least that. So it's like, you know,
I was like, y'all can't.
It was the one movie out of the three that was just a complete waste, because at least Shang-Chi is introduced and we, you know, moving
it's
forward.
A new character.
Like, we know who Black Widow is. Like, bro, we seen you for 7 years.
Right.
We know who you
But the movie was just, if the movie did not happen, you could have introduced Yelena in something else. And we would have found out that the Black Widows, in Hawkeye, and you would have found out Black Widows are actually still something, right? You could literally made a whole episode in Hawkeye about Yelena, and it been her and that, right? And it's like, oh, well, this makes sense.
Because you could have easily been like, you want to know the last memory I have of my sister, and you could have made that into an episode,
the whole episode, and it could have been literally like the whole third of the movie,
the beginning and the end.
And that could have been it. But so that was completely waste. So that was the easy choice for me. That should just what was the reason? Cardi voice. What was the reason? Like, it wasn't.
Like I said, it was just a couple of years. It was a few years too late. Like,
way too late.
Like,
Black Widow should have had a trilogy.
Or at least two. Yeah, at least two.
Yeah, that too. Because literally the first movie,
you could easily do. That's a spy movie easily.
Yes, and that's why I hate it. It didn't even work as a spy. That should have been the most James Bond movie that came out of Marvel.
I mean, if you want to do Black Widow,
you know the crazy thing about it,
and then come back and do a Black Widow.
You could have took the Budapest part and made that a movie.
Yeah, I'm saying that could have been Black Widow 1. This could have been 2 or 3.
No, I'm saying Black Widow and Hawkeye should have been the second one. Black Widow the first one, and Black Widow and Hawkeye as the second movie.
Yeah, but you could have done the whole thing that happened
Hawkeye,
to Budapest.
Hawkeye and S.H.I.E.L.D. could have been the villain of her first movie, and then she comes to their side, right? Like, and then the second movie could have been this movie.
Been Budapest.
That came out 5 years ago.
It could have been
because you basically would have retconned and showed why she was in Iron Man, like the second Iron Man. Because now you show that, but like they played it all wrong.
Like,
and they kept pushing it back, kept pushing it back. It was like, bro.
And then they end up with it.
Yeah, and then he ended up with it. And then And then that was the first movie you dropped of 2021.
Right. Completely.
Was Black Widow.
Right. I understand they had to move everything around because the order wasn't working on everything. Yeah. Some stuff was supposed to come out before other stuff. Some shows came out after movies and before movies and stuff, but just stupid. Shout out
to Scarlett Johansson for getting that bag. I ain't mad at you.
Me neither. She deserved every penny.
Yeah. So what you think, penny,
all of them, like I said, all of them had their good points. All of them had their flat points. Black Widow, like I said, storyline stupid. The action was, like I said, Yelena, she was the best part of the whole movie. Because she was able to go in and out of pockets of serious and funny. So she was able to balance both of that. What's the name? The Red Guardian is stupid. It just the fact that you knew who the Taskmaster was. It's like, bro, you already knew who that was when the movie started. Once you see that she blew up and the kid, he was like, bro, there's no way that the daughter died and that's not her right there in that. So of course it was predictable. Shang-Chi, that first half of Shang-Chi, I like how he got introduced. The bus fight, and everything like that.
Literally, the whole first two acts, not till you get to the third act. I'm just like, nigga.
When them folks is on that island fighting, I'm like, okay, y'all fighting demons that take souls. This sounds like the Dementors got them from Harry
Potter. I would have even preferred it if they came and found him because his dad was trying to take over that land that his mom came from.
That's what I thought we was getting to. I just knew it was
if that was the final battle, it was between him protecting his mom's, homeland versus his dad trying to come in and take it over. Then I would have been like, cool. Okay, at least it came down to a fight between him and his dad. Cool. Nah.
No, we gotta get a spider monster from behind the door that can telepathically tell you, make itself sound like anything.
I don't know.
Who came up with this?
These folks must have unlimited lung capacity because these folks be underwater for 100 minutes.
I was like,
he was underwater for an hour and then he just pop up out nowhere. So
Yeah.
So
who came up with this plot point and why did this get approved?
And then the dialogue in that was
because Marvel, man, they want to end stuff in big huge CGI. Every movie they keep doing it, and I just don't understand why. I mean, like at least with Eternals, it worked because they were fighting each other. And they had Icarus was really the true villain.
So it was personal.
The big CGI, it was personal. So it's like,
personal work.
Same with Civil War. It works. The last battle works because it's personal. It's not.
It's personal. Personal work.
It's not this threat that just come out of thin air that you like.
Bro. He killed my mom. He killed my mom. So I'm finna mess him up. And then you knew he killed my mama and you didn't tell me.
But that's why it hit because it's like you understand, and like I said, it's personal. So it's like.
It's the personal self. When they do these big mythical monsters, I was like, nah. That's why I'm hoping that Guardians of the Galaxy don't go crazy because it's gonna be a big mythical monster that they ain't got no personal relationship with nobody. So like, I'm just hoping that it don't flop out the same way.
So I about to say, looking at that, I would probably. It's a tie between those two only because I think I like Black Yelena as a character more than I kind of like Shang-Chi movie.
Okay.
I like the dialogue of how she was.
Yeah, that mean you really like Yelena.
I mean, I love
Yelena. I love.
No, I'm talking about I was stuck on the fence, so I was like. Between Black Widow and Shang-Chi. But Mike, even though you like Yelena, you like her that much.
That can't be the only thing that's good in your movie. That can't be the only thing.
But I also
that third act was so bad.
The fight scene, but the third act was terrible.
Yeah, because the fight scene.
But which third act was worse between Black Widow and Shang-Chi? They both were trash.
I mean, you comparing apples to oranges. It's like, bro, which one you hate worse?
I almost feel like the one in Shang-Chi is worse though.
I feel like at least like the first half of the third act wasn't bad because it was that battle and he did fight his dad when he got his ass whipped and thrown into the lake. It was everything after that I was just like
You could just stop there. You could just let him come out, beat his dad up.
That could have been the whole brutal part of it. That could have been the whole brutal part of it. Nah, we just gloss over this.
You had to add this mythical monster.
What about the third act? What about the third act of Black Widow even makes sense? Like they literally was jumping her and took turns. It's 30 of y'all fighting her, and y'all will take turns. Like jump her ass. Like,
I do hate the fact that, and then he said the pheromone that they have is why they couldn't hit him. I was still trying to understand that too. Mike, you're right. It's Black Widow.
And they was falling for 30 minutes off of that blown up
off that plane. I thought that was the part that you was gonna say when you said that she almost died. I was like, you talking about when she jumped out that plane?
I'm saying leading up to that. I'm saying leading up to that didn't make no sense.
She landed
they rolled debris down onto the ground. Like I ain't never seen nothing so.
I'm saying, and she was just so happened to find one parachute, and Yelena should have died when she blew up the what's the name? She got blown off. Like they ain't have explosions.
Yeah, you're right, Mike. You convinced me. It's Black Widow.
Third act was
it's Black Widow.
Why? First of all, leading up to that point was already mediocre, but then you just made it mediocre with mediocre.
Less than mediocre. Like, it was. And then all for y'all to give me that post credit scene.
Right. That still didn't make sense because it makes no sense why Yelena wants to fight Hawkeye.
It's so much out of chronological
because
she
voiced it that way. This is the man that killed your sister.
It makes no sense. Like it seems like it's supposed to be well documented what Black Widow did.
What happened?
Like go read. Like
in other episodes, everybody.
So you don't believe the reports? You don't believe? You don't believe her best friend trying to stop her from dying. Like,
and thinking about the Hawkeye, but you believe him because he can do the Wilson.
Yep. Yeah. You gonna believe Val when Val is about as shady can get?
Yeah, okay. So then I don't really know. And then I don't know when that happens. Then I don't really know when it happens chronologically because it happens during the Hawkeye series.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all just stuck that in there just like
stupid.
Yeah. You're right, it's Black Widow.
Yeah, the other two, it was like I said, the Eternals. I know why people don't like the Eternals. Me personally,
I like it though.
I like the Eternals.
Me too.
Because it's a storytelling. It told me about Budapest, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like it's the storytelling is what I needed. Like every move that they blow up everything in don't mean that. And they had fight scenes in there. It was actually in there. That fight scene they had in the Boyz was one of the dopest fight scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah, and the one at the end was really good.
Yeah, it was. Though, so like,
she was in there for like 10 minutes.
That blew me about Eternals though. They had this whole commercial run. I'm just
Salma Hayek was in there like 2 minutes.
She was in there for one scene.
Salma Hayek, she was in there like 3 minutes.
Oh yeah,
she was in there.
They fooled me. That was they. Let me tell you something. They did a great job on that because they had us believing that was a real conversation to the fight. She did before he got started.
She was in there right at the beginning. She got killed, and then you saw her.
She was in nothing but flashbacks. She was in nothing but flashbacks.
Yeah, she was. That's what I'm saying. You think she a part of the whole fight?
When Sprite made a mirage of her at the end at the fight. Outside of that, Salma Hayek, she was in that 10 minutes.
Yeah, you think she in there the whole fight? She the leader. She telling them what they need to do. That was the whole flashback. She been there the whole time.
She in that 10 minutes. Now
that was a good plot twist though.
Yeah, the Eternal. I
saw it coming a mile away.
Well, I was like, what's his name? He had the evil look. Icarus.
I knew Icarus. Like, can't anybody else do a good Superman? Every other Superman got to be evil. So as soon as he's Superman powers, he evil.
Yeah,
his name is Icarus.
It was too.
Before he do, yeah.
What's the story of Icarus? Nigga, it was like, yeah.
But it was too. It was anticlimactic though, having them flying to the sun.
Right. So I'm like, can they even kill them? Can they even kill them?
Exactly.
I don't even know if they kill them.
Because it looked like when they die, it's just another one waiting to be reincarnated.
They just remade. They just keep being remade.
That part was stupid. I was like, you. That's how you know the new directors are coming in to do Marvel movies. Like you don't know how to do the twist to where we don't see it. You know what I mean? Like I saw that coming. You know what I mean? I'm like they try to because the first thing with a twist, the first thing with a twist is look at who they are trying to obviously show you as the villain, and look the opposite way. When they were trying to show what's name that does the mind read, I was like, they try to build him up like, oh, he the one that went rogue and he's evil.
They did in the commercial. It looked like he was the one. Yep.
I'm like, nope, look the other way.
Drew, by far, to me, was my favorite Eternal. He was like,
the problem that I have with Eternals is that half of their powers don't make sense from a celestial standpoint if you're building. Like if Druid can't use his powers, what's the purpose of giving him those powers?
Yeah.
Like what is his job then on Earth? You know what I mean? Like if you gave him that, if you built him to do that, but the team tells him no, he can't do that, he has to stay out of conflict. Like, he's a walking contradiction.
Yeah.
That's why,
you know what I mean?
That's why
like,
they gave him.
He use it?
That's why he got the power. He's like, bro, nah, bro, I'm going to do this. That's why they made it to the point where he was defiant.
Tell me my power is none and void. Like,
well, what he ended up doing was letting them talk him out of using his powers when he shouldn't have.
Yeah, but I'm like,
said no. Then he eventually
it made it seem like that Salma Hayek was getting that, Ajax was getting that I guess instructions from the Celestials that he's not supposed to be able to.
Which he was,
Which I'm like, well, what was the point of building him? He's just there. Like it's just like what, if he could use his power on the what's the name, it would make sense. If he could use his power on the thing on the defense, then I'm like, okay.
I'm guessing the reason why they try to get him to stop from using his powers so he used them against them because clearly he was able to use them against Celestial. But I think the biggest thing for me with Celestials was one, they didn't have to put the Thanos part in the commercial. They could just say that for the movie. The question, because we all had that question, and then they put it in the commercial, and I was like, the preview. And I was like,
okay. 5 years. It's been 5 years or something since.
But I'm gonna tell you this though, I still came out with questions. Like I still don't understand how if they can't reproduce how Thanos was born, y'all ain't explaining it yet. And and then I don't understand why you got me to show me that had those post credits to me were not needed. Like even with unless you just wanted to show me the Ebony Blade and you wanted Blade to say something about the Ebony Blade. You just wanted to put that in there for no reason.
I will say this year, the post-credit scenes this year have been some of the worst that Marvel's done.
Yeah, I'm like, because they don't tie into it. And I think that they didn't figure it out so much that in the Spider-Man, they went on and gave a Doctor Strange trailer.
That way, they just gave you the trailer. They were like, we ain't about to try nothing else. They literally could have gave us, like for Doctor Strange, they literally could have gave us that first part where he walks up to Wanda and talks to her. We're like, oh, he's going to get Wanda, and they could have cut it.
And that would have been great.
They were like, nah. They were like, nah, we'll give you this whole trailer.
We'll get a whole trailer.
We don't even know what
because they know at the time too. You got 3 months for the next movie coming out. They're like, let me go and build a little bit of the hype. And if you've seen what
5 months,
then you're like, okay.
Where does it come out? May?
Or I thought it come out in March
or April. Oh, okay.
I thought it come out in March.
No,
I thought something came out March.
No, it don't come out till May.
I think it is Doctor Strange come out.
No, I don't think so because I think the Batman come out in March.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah, now Doctor Strange.
I saw the trailer for Batman. They're gonna be side note. They're gonna be. They look like unless they trigger me with these trailers, this movie like it's gonna be good. Unless they trigger me with these trailers,
it's gonna be good. Yeah. To me, you can't trailers not always a good indication that a movie is gonna be good. But usually when you
cut it that way,
you have 2 or 3 movies and you're showing new footage and they all look good, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, I hope so.
You know what I mean?
But that's
all it was within the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You say what?
Unless everything within the first 30, 45 minutes, then you'd be like, all right, this last hour, what I'm doing.
Oh, well, I mean, of course, but
we
can tell by watching it. All this don't take place in the first, 35 minutes.
That movie like it's gonna be real good.
If all that takes place within the first 45 minutes, I'm gonna be like, all right, y'all tripping.
I mean, I'll be scared and see what else is coming. Take place in the first 45 minutes. That's a lot. That's a lot. So, but nah.
But I mean,
I think when you take inspiration from movies like Seven, and stuff, it's like you can't go wrong, like with that kind of inspiration. You know what I mean? So.
And if you're a Batman fan, you love the detective movies that they always made with Batman is really good. The Long Halloween was really good. So taking elements from those, it's like when it comes to Batman, you got too many stories to take something from. To mess it up.
And then and you combine it with successful movie plots already, like the Dark Knight took from the same plot from Heat, but then used that plus a Long Halloween and other stories to like join together. It's like, oh well. Kind of hard to mess this up, you know what I mean? So
and they took a good approach too. Instead of giving us Batman, they gave us like year 1 Batman.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So using year one or year 2 comic and using Long Halloween, and then using
elements of
Seven,
Hush,
and then using elements of Hush and Seven, the movie. Then it's like, it should be good. So I mean, like it's just.
I know
it's a little too hard.
I know some of the stuff y'all talking about, not all of it. I got to refresh my memory. A lot of this stuff.
We talking about yeah.
All you gotta
but
do
year one, the year one movie on anime movie and Hush on HBO Max.
I think all that on HBO Max. So yeah,
okay, I can go watch those then. That's
I know year one, and I mean, of course, year one is just him, pretty much the same movie as Batman Begins, almost like him becoming Batman.
Oh, okay.
Just without Ra's al Ghul part.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that storyline.
Yeah, so it's like that's year one,
and Hush is about this villain is end up being a Rilla. So like you just watch it and you'll
Rilla figures out who.
Yeah, I mean,
Rilla figures out who Batman.
I love DC animated movies anyway, so I go back and watch.
They DC movies. I mean, the anime movies are real good. But,
that's what they got over Marvel live action has been better, but DC animated kills Marvel's any Marvel animated movie.
Yeah. DC it still pissed me off. It pissed me off to this day that Marvel didn't look at Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse and say, "Oh, we could do an animated Batman Beyond movie." The same way, you know what I mean?
I'm still surprised they ain't brought Batman Beyond back. They supposed to.
They could have done an anime.
I'm surprised they ain't brought. I seen somebody post a meme too that they said, "Well, since we got this Batman universe, y'all might as well go and bring Batman Beyond too." And I was like, it would be dope to see a futuristic Batman.
They would, but they could literally use animation, 3D animation to do it. You know, not in the same way as Spider-Verse, but like.
And they bring it Static Shock.
Could though.
And they bring it. They doing Static Shock now.
It's on HBO Max.
They doing Static Shock too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. On side note too, on HBO Max, if y'all haven't watched it, so I don't know if y'all seen the Superman movie Red. Is it Red Son?
Yeah, Red Son.
It's based when he was part of
it's him going to, if he would have went to the Soviet Union instead of
yeah. So they got. Have you seen the World War II one that's on HBO Max? Yeah.
It's another one. World War II.
It's a Justice League.
I think I have. I can't remember. I know they got some on there that I don't think I've seen yet.
Yeah, I didn't either until that day when I was clicking on it. So like it basically is about, it's a Flashpoint paradox movie, but he goes back in time and he goes back to when the US is fighting the Nazis. And so it was real good. Like I had caught it the other day.
Flash does or Superman does?
Flash does.
Oh, okay.
It's on there. If you click on it, it's like, I think it's called the Justice Society too. World War II Justice Society or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. Like I didn't know they had another movie out, and then I clicked on it. And
they drop them out without any kind of promotion.
They show them.
It's a long list of them I got to go watch. So it's about 5 or 6 of them I got to go back and watch. My favorite ones, like I said, Flashpoint Paradox and what's the other one? The Flashpoint Paradox and what's the other one? Dark Apocalypse War. That was
all the universe movies.
Because they build up on top of each other.
Yeah, but, they literally did a universe better than they did the DC
movies.
I hope we revisit the topic and stuff and talk about the DC movies come out, because this might be the first year of slate of DC movies that might be consistently good.
They might be pretty good.
Yeah, they say Flashpoint is going to rewrite everything. Same way that
it's the multiverse.
It's the
multiverse.
Yeah.
Flashpoint is the multiverse.
Yeah, because they know they need to start over, so you need to go ahead and start over.
And they're trying to get rid of. They trying to get out of the Zack Snyder era. So
I think Black Adam gonna do.
I don't think it's gonna be good.
I mean, I think it'll probably be on par with Shazam, which is it's not a heavy.
But Shazam was actually, I like Shazam. I did.
I just don't trust. If you go get The Rock to head a franchise on his own, that means that you probably ain't got faith in that franchise. No. You know what I mean? You're using him. He's box office biography.
Yeah, he box office.
Like so it's like, so you're using him for this when this role should really go to somebody a lot younger, and more of a. But you let him turn Black Adam into what they're probably going to use as an anti-hero when he's really a villain. So
this is more of a how you say his name, Mahershala Ali type movie, where it's like you give him that role like Blade. Like if you'd have gave me 10 guesses, he wouldn't have been who I picked. But then when I hear them cast him for it, I'm like, that's a perfect pick.
Right.
You know, like
so it's like
that's a perfect pick. I'm gonna tell you the truth too. That's like I'm probably most eager. Y'all know how eager I was to see Eternals. But I'm probably more than the Fantastic Four and more of them recasting the X-Men. And I think it's because like even though it's been only like 2 Charles Xavier, so to speak, right? You know, like really that we know, or it's only been 2 of those, but it's been 2 different people.
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen but one Blade. You know, like, and so I'm really like even
it's not
even with the Fantastic Four, we've seen enough of those movies currently. Even though you may not like them, you've at least seen them on the screen. We ain't seen Blade ain't been on the screen in 15
20 years.
Yeah. So like, and then basically starting all the way over and to see like,
and then who you cast then who you cast as well.
Like and I'm trying to see too if they're gonna like, because I think they said Deadpool is gonna be a part of Phase 5 or whatever it is, and it's gonna be R-rated. So if that's the case, that means Blade is gonna be R-rated. Because you can't do a PG-13 Blade. Like I just don't believe you can do a PG-13 Blade.
Very hard to do that.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could based on the language, but you could. But the what he got to do,
the violence needed for that.
And you got to make vampires.
Yeah.
Like you can't make a cool vampire. I guess Twilight did, but I guess that was it.
Wasn't Morbius PG-13?
Yeah.
And Morbius shouldn't be PG-13, but
but same as Venom.
I think it's gonna be.
So they want to make as much money as they can. The problem with those is making them. So the same with Deadpool, but really with Venom and Morbius. The bad part is counteracting that. If you show them rated R in their movies and blood and gore and all that in their movies,
you can't go PG-13.
You can't switch them back. With Spider-Man. You can't switch them back at that
Spider-Man.
point.
Yeah.
So you just go all the way up to the cuff as much as you can do, and then keep PG-13 so that you can, because your goal is to get them in a big movie. If you like Spider-Man,
you know what I'm saying? You can't go back with Spider-Man if that's the case. Now, Deadpool is an exception because Deadpool can be aware of his own limitations. You know what I mean? He can try to swear in the movie and it bleeps, and he's like, "Oh, I must be in a PG-13." He can say it because he breaks the fourth wall. It can be a joke.
He knows how. And then it's Ryan Reynolds, so Ryan Reynolds knows.
And when you watch Deadpool, you watch it for it's a comedy more than a superhero. He just happened to be doing superhero stuff in a comedy.
He's just
like, but it seemed like what is. Like,
it can be a whole running joke that he gets bleeped out, like his words get bleeped out the whole movie. It's a whole running joke, you know. So, to where he gets tired of it bleeping out, he's aware that it's bleeping out, you know. So,
it's
you
like
can use it to your advantage.
You know, like I don't want to call it like white comedy, but you know how you had those movies like Superbad.
Yeah,
it's like that type of style of movie. But he just happened to be he just happened to be a superhero.
I love
like so you don't really take it serious.
Superbad is
because in those movies they're not trying to tease anything.
Yeah,
they just let that movie be that movie and then that be it.
Yeah.
Like they threw a couple of X-Men in there, but they ain't gonna be there too. Oh, side note too. I think I was gonna ask y'all this earlier. I was gonna say something about this earlier. When we were talking about it wasn't the multiverse. It was more so like I just lost it. What did I say? We were talking about Daredevil. And I'm not Daredevil, about Deadpool and how it don't tease nothing. I don't remember. It'll come back to me. I lost it that quick. I think it was it'll come back to me.
And then like I said, finishing out the year, you finish it out with Spider-Man. It's been finished out Spider-Man No Way Home. Good movie. I see the plot holes in the movie.
Mike gave it like a 2 out of 10.
Yeah,
I said 6 out of 10.
That might say it was meh.
I was like, though. I gave it, like I said, between 7.5 and 8. I gave it around there, but I also see where you can dissect the movie into where the
first 45 minutes was just terrible. Like, I was just like, oh my God, can y'all hear him get some started?
And him going through everything, getting declined by college, all this. But I like, all right, cool. Nigga, what Doc Ock at?
I mean, my only issue, and I understand this is a running joke with Spider-Man, but you know, he deserved it. Like you all the trouble you went through, you did it. You know what I mean? So it's like whatever happens after you've been warned, like you accept the terms.
You remember you talked about this before it came out, and we were like, so you couldn't just say, I just don't want the bad guys to know who Spider-Man is, or I want everybody outside the people who need to know be Spider-Man, or maybe everybody.
I seen that meme. It was like
everybody that knew before Jonah Jameson said it out loud. That's who needs to know. Like you couldn't think you can make Webb in a lab and you can't think how to think that
like
spell
him,
through before
like
you
the whole movie could have been cut if him and Dr. Strange had a 20-minute conversation before the spell.
Yeah.
Like,
neither one of them, the adult in the room didn't think it through, and of course and then the adult in the room
and
the child in the room.
also, what don't make sense to me, explain this because I know I ain't stupid. What don't make sense to me is that it said only the people that came that knew who Spider-Man was. Electro don't know who Spider-Man is.
Yeah, I don't understand.
He never finds out who Spider-Man. He never finds out Spider-Man's Peter Parker in his movie. And that's why he literally asked. He literally says to Andrew Garfield in the movie, like, "I thought you would be black." Because he didn't know who he was. So I was like, "Why is he here? Why is he here? It's only supposed to be."
By the way, I need a black Spider-Man so they need to come up with playing with me live action.
Well, I mean, yeah, Miles need to come on, but his movie coming out in October too. His part 1 coming out in October.
It do, and
across the y'all ain't seen the trailer Across the Multiverse.
I have seen the trailer. Yeah,
it come out in October.
New Rockstar.
But like that didn't make sense to me at all. So and also the one glaring problem I have with the movie overall.
No, this is your third glaring problem.
Yeah, what I just pointed out was plot holes that didn't make sense. Okay. But this is my actual issue, which is my issue with his trilogy. He never fought any of his own villains. Like
everybody.
He fought everybody else's villains in this movie. It was Spider-Man's greatest hits coming through. Like he was fighting they villains in this movie. I was like, it would have made more sense.
He doesn't have a Doc Ock.
No, I'm saying if he also had one of his own villains, that's what like Spider-Verse did it better because those Spider-Man came in to fight Miles' villain, which was Kingpin. You know what I mean? So he had a what they call it he had a purpose in the fight rather. I mean he had he had a dog in the fight because it's his villain, it's his responsibility, or he sees it as that. This Peter is trying to fix the problems of other Spider-Man that he ain't never met at the time. You know, I mean, when he really could have been like, send y'all back to y'all villains.
Because he kind of fought his villain in the second one when it was Mysterio, and Mysterio kind of made.
But it wasn't his villain. It was Tony Stark's villain. He was shunned by Tony Stark and fired by Tony Stark, and he became a villain. He wasn't a villain because of
villain too.
Yeah, he was. He was like he never had a villain that was there because I don't like Spider-Man. You know, like everybody saw Spider-Man as a nuisance the whole time. You know, to get to their goal. Like, you know, Mysterio wanted the glasses. Spider-Man was in the way of getting the glasses. Vulture wanted to just do his thievery and do his deals. Spider-Man was just getting in the way, and he had to try to get him out the way. None of them were his villains. You know what I mean? They turned Spider-Man villains into somebody else's villains. And in this movie, they literally turned Spider-Man villains into other Spider-Man villains, like from other Spider-Man villains. It's like, why don't Peter? But I get it. It was a whole setup for his own new trilogy now. But it's like, hell, you ran through his Rose Gallery for no reason. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want to see
another. You're talking about for Tom Holland new trilogy.
Yeah. This whole which contractually, this whole thing was to get Spider-Man out of the MCU into his own film franchise, like back with Sony, pretty much. So they did a 2-film deal for him to kind of just get out, you know, from the MCU. So, or they extended the deal for 2 more movies. So he should probably pop up maybe in another.
I'm sure he'll pop up again.
Crossover movie, but then he's gonna be out and he's gonna be back with Sony. That's why Sony's trying to expand their Spider-Verse into Venom movies. Morbius, Craven is coming. Like they got all these other movies. They're trying to do their own Spider-Verse. They're really trying to do like their own, like how Batman is, where he can do all his movies on his own. Well, I mean, they're really trying to redo that with Spider-Man.
I mean,
so he's gonna have another trilogy.
What's name is the same? They the same people, just different. They just on different sides. I think Spider-Man and the Flash, kind of the same MO. Spider-Man and Flash. They got a lot of villains. They really don't have a. They have maybe one great villain, but then the rest of them are just okay.
Right. But that's why this movie. That's why this movie ends with nobody knowing who Spider-Man is.
They the upbeat superhero. They the funny, the kid loving. That's how Flash and
so
Spider-Man
what did you? So what did you like from the movie?
Action. Like the fights with Goblin.
All the fight scenes were like
all the fight scenes. Action was great. Action was great.
What he did, what Green Goblin did to Peter in that,
he whooped his ass.
That man beat the brakes off him. But, in the apartment.
I mean, through several floors. Like he beat that man.
Toby would know.
But I mean he got his ass with too in that burning building.
He did.
Goblin not too. The same way though. Not the same way. Though.
When Goblin faked as that old lady and he jumped in that burning building, beat his ass too. But yeah, so action wise, I like that. And literally my favorite moment in the movie, my favorite moment was the moment he gets his spidey sense but doesn't know where it's coming from. It's that dolly zoom where he's like he's walking around and it takes him about 15 seconds before he realizes it's Goblin. And like I was like, that's the best use of spidey sense because he knows something else but don't know.
Because every other time it's weird the way they do it, but like it slowed down. Like it was us.
Yeah, exactly. I love that perspective of him just knowing
like
something's off. But
I did like it how they cut it. They had cut it to where it was like Dr. Collins, the lizard was finna break out. That's how they cut it in the movie.
Yeah.
Because they said because he was like, it's time. So it made it look like he was finna get out. And then all of a sudden you do that, and then William Dafoe, his face is just like,
But
I mean, I knew it was coming. He knew it was coming.
Yeah. But that, and also I'm not nostalgic, which was that was partially my problem with Endgame. This movie played a lot like Endgame, where it's like the nostalgia is there to get you. It's there to get you to feel something in the moment. And I was just like, I didn't care about the other, spoiler everybody. I didn't care about the other Spider-Man coming back, but you knew they were coming back when he was fighting the villains. It's just you. Yeah, so for them not to show it in the trailers, I was like, that's stupid. I mean, I understand why you're doing it. You don't want another doomsday situation.
Don't show all the villains in the trailer.
Yeah, but I wouldn't show the villains either.
I wouldn't show the villains.
But I guess you wouldn't have no trailer though.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, you could have showed a villain. You know what I mean? Because they still kept a lot out. They didn't show nothing from that the fight scene with him and Goblin and what's his name at the beginning or in the condo. They didn't show nothing in the trailer.
Well, because in the trailers, all you got to show is the Doctor Strange stuff in the trailers. That's all.
Yeah, but I'm saying they showed the Doc Ock fight in the trailers, and they showed a little bit of Electro and stuff. And you saw Sandman and you know Goblin was there.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't have showed you none of that. I would have showed everything around people find out that he's Peter Parker. Yep. I mean, Spider-Man is.
But and they knew that they had to get butts and seats. They knew that. So like,
well, I was gonna say, and at the end of the trailer, I would have showed you that clip of the pumpkin grenade when he was in that building.
Mm-hmm.
So now you don't know who the Green Goblin is, but you know there's a Goblin in this episode.
I mean, but they pretty much did show that in the trailers. They showed the pumpkin grenade, and you heard Willem Dafoe's voice, but you never saw him in the trailer.
In the first one, you saw him in the second trailer.
Well, you see him in the second trailer. In the mask. You talking about in the mask and stuff? Oh, well, yeah. But I'm saying like they never had as much as 90% of this movie. Willem Dafoe is outside of the mask. So it's like they didn't show none of that.
Too.
They ain't show none of that.
Well, because they made it to where the mask didn't control him like it did in the other movies.
No, what I liked is they got rid of the one criticism from that movie was that Willem Dafoe, Goblin is less scary with the mask on. He's scarier with Willem Dafoe's face. Like that's scary. So they did a good job of like going more Hobgoblin-ish and getting rid of the mask and him having the hood that gets destroyed in that fight, and him more so having the hood instead of having the mask, which Goblin when he was
one of my favorite villains.
This is scary.
Oh yeah.
I like this is scary.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite villains.
Like, yeah. So it's like
the whole laugh and everything that he did.
I mean, when he was getting punched and he was just laughing.
I thought Heath Ledger was freaky. Yeah, nah.
Yeah. But people have been wanting him to be Joker for years. Have been wanting Willem Dafoe to be Joker for years and years. So I mean, he's about 65 now, so I don't know. I mean, but you ain't gotta be that physical. Right. I mean, you ain't gotta be that physical to be the Joker. So it's not.
Man, it was crazy. It was crazy how good he did. He seemed like he was almost as good in this movie as he was in the original one when you first time you see him, just because of how crazy, how Fruit Loopy he had to play. Yeah,
him and Doc Ock were both really. They really were taken from their movies pretty much and put in these. But I just it's if I wanted that, I'll go watch those movies. I don't need those villains. Like it didn't pave any new ground for me. Is what I'm saying. It was just a smart way to get an exit to Spider-Man into his own universe again. Which I mean, they did it smartly. I expect the same thing from Black Panther 2, that they're gonna find a smart way to get us away from Chadwick's or T'Challa's Black Panther and get us into a new kind of a movie system or whatever to keep that franchise going. But I mean, they did as tastefully as they could. I mean, don't get me wrong. But the whole scene that they introduced the old Spider-Man is just, or Spider-Man, it was just like, it was cringy. I was just like, y'all been here this whole time, bro, and y'all Spidey sense didn't tell you where all y'all villains was to go help Peter out. You know what I mean? Like, it literally would have, I'm gonna tell you, like, it would have hit me way better. Because I knew that was in the movie. It would have hit me way better if they would have been there to save Aunt May in the moment that she was about to get hit by the what's the name? If both of them would have popped up then and moved the glider out the way, or hit the glider, or snatched her out the way or whatever, so she didn't die, and then they was just there. They both of them was just there in their Spider-Man outfits then, like, and they kind of like all jumped Goblin. He had to run away, and then that's when they revealed themselves. I would have been like, okay.
I actually felt it
because I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it.
I'm about to say that, of course, in that movie, that's their connector to how they all relate to each other. They all lost somebody close.
Which also is my problem.
I think I told she too. I didn't realize that they all said them the day they died though. That was cool to me. Yeah.
But which also irked me, because they already hinted at that Peter lost Uncle Ben too in this world. Right. In Civil War, when he's talking to Tony Stark and he says, when he doesn't use his powers, bad things happen to good people. And he kind of like pauses and looks off. You like, that he's referencing Uncle Ben. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you kind of already made it seem like he already had this talk or had this or whatever. You just did it off screen because you're like, we don't need to see Uncle Ben die again. You're like seeing Bruce Wayne's parents get shot again. Like, we don't need to see that again. We've seen it 50,000 times. But it's like, so you kind of already hinted at that 5 years ago. So it's like, for her to die in this movie, I felt like it was just another waste. It was just like,
but a lot of people
at the same time, I was like, y'all deserve it.
A lot of people ain't gonna pick up on that Uncle Ben part. That's why they kind of did that.
I mean, I guess so, but
I also looked at it too. I would have introduced them when their villains got introduced, kind of how that, like, they won save. Like when you introduce Doc and Green Goblin and they fighting, and then the other Peter pops up. In the same way with Electro, when Electro's grabbing everything, grabbing all the energy. That's when you have. I
literally would have had them show up at the condo. You know what I mean? At the end of the condo fight, instead of them trying to find them and awkwardly. I didn't mind the whole Ned doing magic part. It was just that, like, this was.
When I saw that, I was like, bro, this is the easiest cop out to get them.
Yeah, they were telegraphing. I was like, this is real cheesy, right? It was real crazy. Like, they could have introduced them in a much more.
Yeah, I already knew that was coming.
Way that you didn't see coming, that I didn't see coming. That was like,
fine Peter.
Because the moment he said fine Peter Parker, I said,
fine Peter Parker, really.
Right, right. I rolled my eyes at that part.
I was like, which one are you gonna pick?
So I guess for me,
I like the movie still though.
So like, I guess for me,
I gave it a 6.
I guess I didn't take it too serious.
That's a C plus. Back.
I didn't take it too serious. Like, I went in there with like the inkling indicates that of course that these other people are in this movie and yada yada yada. But I found myself watching the movie and then like watching it, not like thinking about it, like just really like watching it. And so the coolest part of the movie to me was it was a couple things actually. The cheesy or not, like cheesy or not for me, like when I saw like, when he was like fine Peter Parker, I was like, because I saw him and I was like, I don't think that's his suit. So when I saw him immediately, I was like, bro, like, so not in a bad way, the kid in me came out where I got a little, and see, like for you, like you said, it wasn't nostalgia for you. For me, I want to say like and I'm sure I guess for y'all too, because I saw the same movies I did, but like of course your first Spider-Man was Tobey Maguire. So and so the funny thing about it was like I actually used it like so I looked at it like as like comic relief because that scene with Andrew Garfield is amazing. As in him trying to show them that he's Spider-Man while he's sticking to the ceiling. Like
right.
And then even when Tobey Maguire shows up and they looking at each other like it was stupid to like it was kind of like looking at yourself in the mirror. That ain't me, but you got my suit on.
Right.
But you ain't me. But are you me? Why you got my suit on?
Like, and I would have liked it. I would have liked it. You know how they visually show Peter having his Spidey sense, like in that moment with Green Goblin and stuff. Like if Tobey would have came through and he could have sensed that Andrew Garfield was also
or Andrew
because they paused at each other and looked and then
they look at each other.
But I was like, you could have visually shown that like they both know something is off or something. You know, they do that in Spider-Man. When Miles first meets Spider-Man and like they both
they both kind of look at each other.
Right, like they can both feel it. Now I'm like, that would have made more sense. You know what I mean? But
it was
they're not bad scenes. It's just I'm like
because the best scenes in the movie to me are not the best, but outside that fighting scene, because the fighting in this movie was top tier. Is the Andrew and Tobey Maguire scenes are just like priceless. Because Andrew, I know they did the puns. Andrew is just happy to be there.
Yeah, they played out there. They played that.
Right. And Toby's the OG, but Andrew, what's the face? New Spider-Man. Tom Holland is trying to show that he's Spider-Man number one. Like or whatever. The point scene was funny. To call back to the main. But the coolest thing in the movie was
not get the web.
Nah,
the web come out of his
arm. That was funny too. That was funny too. Them trying to figure out like, Andrew Garfield's reaction to the web coming straight out of him was the funniest shit I've seen in a long time. That was super funny. But I was waiting to see when they was going to talk about it.
In the suit, Andrew Garfield was great. In the suit of Spider-Man in his movie.
To me, he's my favorite Spider-Man.
In the suit, he was great. He was great.
In the fight scene too.
He got the best looking suit too.
Yeah, he does though. And that's why you see Tom Holland's new suit. I think it looks more like the Spider-Man. Yeah. But the intro to their fight scene too, the swing was cool. But I was gonna say actually though the coolest part to me though, the part that got me going first was like if you just look at the trailer and New Rockstars, we appreciate them. You could tell like it was some other funky shit going on, and it just would have been hard to believe that you got all these other Spider-Man villains and they don't show up in this movie. And they were in a trick bag situation because if you'd have did that and they wouldn't show up in this movie, everybody would have been disappointed.
But you knew that was. It was no reason to pull those specific.
It was too easy not to include.
But I will tell you this: that Daredevil scene, that Charlie Cox scene, like. That was the. It had been rumored that he was in it, but they had did a.
But you want to know how I knew? You want to know how I knew he was gonna? You know he was gonna do this because this actually is the second time they've done this. That Disney has done this. None of the movies. None of the TV shows. Their schedule order come out on accident, on purpose. So for the day before, you see.
I agree. Wilson
Fisk. Then I'm like, Daredevil was in Spider-Man. They're doing it before Spider-Man comes out, so that you know that you're already like, oh, well, if Fisk is here, that means Daredevil must be here, and it must be boom. Because this second time they did this with Star Wars a couple years ago. With like in the last movie came out during the season finale of The Mandalorian, and in The Mandalorian you find out that little baby Yoda can use the Force to heal. Like he can use his own force to heal somebody, right? And right then in that movie that weekend, the main characters used the Force to heal each other. I was like, I was like, you want to show that there was an ability in the show before.
But we already filmed it in the movie. We already
right.
You just have to luck up and hope that people watching whatever it is that you're putting out.
Yeah, which Disney knows that you watching it. So especially if you're the core fans, they know you watching it. So even if you don't know that and you just watch Spider-Man before watching Hawkeye, for instance, and you see that Charlie Cox in it, you can still enjoy it on his own. But it's like just an extra added clue that like.
Because I didn't, to be honest with you, like I didn't even think of. Well, okay, so let me rephrase it. So I was up to date on everything when I went to see Spider-Man because you still had an episode left. I think after we went to see Spider-Man of Hawkeye, I think it was one or two left. It was something like that. So, but I didn't automatically assume because I was seeing Wilkinz Fisk that I was gonna see Daredevil. Now, what I did think was there's a possibility he's coming sooner rather than later. So just the subtleness of the scene, I was like, "What?" I sat up for a second. Then when he caught the brick,
he caught the brick.
Yeah, I didn't know where it was coming. I didn't know where it was coming, but I knew he was gonna need a lawyer in this movie. And I was like, "You don't waste that opportunity. You know what I mean? You just don't waste that kind of opportunity by giving him
especially if you know you're gonna keep the same dude."
Yeah, but some people thought that it would have been his friend, instead of Daredevil, which would have been assigned to the Daredevils in his world. His best friend is the lawyer too. I forgot his name.
Who's Spider-Man?
The show. No, not Daredevil. His best friend is a lawyer too.
It is
in the show.
So
some people thought he was going to show up in the movie.
Okay, so I haven't watched Daredevil, but I've been thinking about going back to see it because now the interesting thing is,
I never watched it.
Oh, for real?
I watched the first couple of episodes and it started out so slow, I stopped watching.
Nah, it's just so good. Oh, yeah.
So the funniest thing about it is though, was now you don't now everything is up for grabs in the sense that is like, the one thing that I hate that Marvel has done when it comes to this is now everybody can be a variant or from another universe. So this could be another universe's Kingpin or another universe's Daredevil, and I'm like, or this could be the dude from the season that we done just seen, and you're just gonna need to figure out how to add it chronological because you can have these things happen simultaneously at the same time. The issue is that y'all run out of real estate in New York. That's what it is. Like you got all these people that based out in New York and don't know about each other.
Right.
Like Spider-Man there and Daredevil there, but they don't know about each other, and I don't understand how they there or Hawkeye is out here having a whole fight with Kingpin and nobody know what's going on. So I think that's more so what it is. It ain't that many boroughs in New York for them not to know what's going on in the city.
Right.
So
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, but I do think what I will say is for a person who is nostalgic on Spider-Man, I think it hit the having the 3 spots to be able to close those chapters. I think because they didn't do a Spider-Man 3 and then they didn't do a Spider-Man 4. So in essence, you gave them a little bit of a sample of being able to do that with an opportunity to be able to bring them back again if you needed to. But they both said that the reason why they did that movie from the interviews that I said that they wanted to give a little bit of closure to their chapters, but at the same time not make this movie about what they had been doing. So that's why they gave those brief answers or whatever, and then they also allowed for them to be their ages in whatever, but it was also at the same time Jamie Foxx like, you so young. I mean, he's just a kid, and I was like, he's definitely not just a kid now. Especially when you go back and Doc Ock said that Peter, you've grown up. So what you got to do it on the same thing. But
I'm guessing they're trying to say Andrew Garfield is still in his mid-20s or late 20s or whatever. So he's just a kid, but no, he's not a kid, but because in real life he's almost 40. But it's and it was in the universe he's supposed to be
he's supposed to be a kid. And then I saw that and then having new Rockstar break it down confused me more, but added more like that kind of look because the first question that I had was originally new Rockstars that said that they believed they were brought out right before the moment they died. And so in my whole head, I was like, well, then that means when they go back, they're going right back to the moment right before they died. Right. But then they were saying that these could be variant versions from other universes where Doc Ock could still be in a universe where Willem Dafoe still becomes Green Goblin, but he doesn't go down his path. And then there's a path where Doc Ock still becomes Doc Ock, but Norman Osborn doesn't become a Green Goblin. And like, so they're all from different universes. And I was like, that's just getting to the point where it's just that's too complex. The Marvel might be thinking like that, but they ain't thinking like that.
No, but they'll let you know that, you know, at the top of Marvel's like itinerary on this movie, they were like, how do we get Spider-Man out of the MCU? Then they was like, boom, 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 boom. Something that the fans are gonna enjoy because the fans are easy to please when you get in fan service the right way. Because you do it the wrong way, then it's like Matrix 4 and it's trash.
You don't watch it.
Yeah, it's trash. So it's like
it's trash.
You know, it's trash. So like you do nostalgia the wrong way, then you get Space Jam New Legacy. Like you do nostalgia the wrong way, it can come off like, you know, so it can upset the fans instead of actually pleasing them. So like, you know, they knew what the fans wanted. They didn't want nothing spoiled. They wanted to see these characters, because if you don't put them in this movie, and it's been rumored that they're in this movie, then you're gonna have riots. You're gonna have riots. So it was like, how can we do this tastefully and give the closure that the fans want from these characters, which they handle all that fine. Don't get me wrong. It's just it like the same way we talk about Eternals, it gave me more questions.
It did give me some questions.
Answered, you know what I mean?
It definitely gave me some questions. I ain't completely. And then you gave me that post. Then you did all the unnecessary stuff with Venom. That was just so unnecessary. You could let Venom where he was in the last movie, and then you're gonna leave a drop to say, "Oh, somewhere in this universe is Venom symbiote." You could just let me alone with it. I was fine with them not crossing over.
Because I mean, but at this point, how many more villains does Spider-Man got to go through? Because you even went through, you know, all these.
And there's no guarantee that you're gonna actually use it. You just put that there just in case you want to come back to it.
Yeah,
and then
so it's like, but if he's not in this universe, then it's gonna be another Eddie Brock or something. Or it's gonna be,
but they said, they said that, because they were saying the hive mind. So this Venom is just gonna still know what's going on. But I still don't. I still like.
He's still gonna make his way to New York, but it's just like, who he gonna pass it to? Is it gonna be another version of Eddie Brock in this universe? You know what I mean? Like Sony's gonna mess up this trilogy, this next couple movies. They're gonna mess this up. So.
Yeah. And then, so the best part, like I said, well, not the best part, because I did get a little fan service and I was appreciative of the Spider-Mans and everything else. But that Doctor Strange trailer was so intense. Mm-hmm. There was so much shit going on in that trailer for it to be maybe a minute. Like, it was just so much stuff going on. But if you've seen What If, I was like, this about to get kooky.
Oh, yeah.
It's about to get real kooky.
We know they kind of let it slip that variations of all the episodes on What If probably will happen.
Some type of way, shape, or form.
So, right, some way, shape, or form. So it's like, you don't know how they go wreck the universe and how it's gonna have implications on.
I'm trying to figure out also who wrecked the universe. Did Loki wreck the universe? Or did WandaVision wreck the universe? I'm confused.
Right, or was it Spider-Man?
Or did Spider-Man tear it up? Yeah, like I'm confused.
Nah. It's really
because now he's going back to he's going to get Wanda for help because he said he done broke the multiverse. But did Loki, because when you get to the end of the Loki series, it makes it seem like all those actions and rips and tears happened at the same time. Mm-hmm. But now it seems like Doctor Strange messed it up by doing a spell. But then Wanda was out there doing all this freaky stuff. But then Loki and them killed the dude that told him, if you kill me, I'll see you again, it's gonna be worse. Right. That's another thing. I'm telling you, you can kill me, which is fine. I'll see you again, it's gonna be worse. And you do it anyway.
That makes him more potentially a bigger threat than Thanos. Because Thanos, you just got the one guy to beat. Yeah. But if you kill me and I'm just gonna respawn like this Call of Duty. Like if I'm gonna just keep coming back, then it don't matter how many times you kill me, or you're gonna just kill a variant of me and another one's gonna come in a different way. Then it's like that's really that's kind of scary.
The dude that had was a nice dude. Like that's the crazy thing.
Supposedly.
The dude you got now is the conqueror dude that's trying to take everything.
Right, and that's just one version of it.
Logan, you didn't see Thanos. You think you ain't know nothing's gonna be like that? That's what I said. But the Doctor Strange movie gonna be real, like interesting. I can't wait to see him play.
Definitely, like to me, the whole 4 years after his own movie came out has boosted him up way more than his movie ever did. You know what I mean? So I think that him now
putting him on screen with Robert Downey Jr. at the same time, like, did something dramatic for him because they were looking in the mirror.
And I think they know now that they can't really have any of these movies standalone no more. Like
they don't have any standalone characters anymore.
Yeah, it's gonna be a feature. Like you gonna feature somebody else in this movie. You know what I mean? So,
because they don't have all their standalone characters dead.
And they also realize that boosts box office. You know what I mean? Like it boosts box office to have somebody else.
People want to see
the movie. So. Right, and they want to see how people interact because it just don't make sense for nobody else to be there. You know what I mean? It don't make sense. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like somebody else got to be somewhere around this, somewhere. Now the TV shows can do that because it's more like a day in the life of, or, you know, a week in the life of. But when you get to these big, huge threats in these movies, it's like, nah, okay. Thor can't just be by himself in his next movie. Like, you know what I mean? It got to be somebody else.
The Guardians game, somebody else going to be there. And there's other thing, too. If I was Thor, I'd be upset. I always come to Earth and help y'all fight, but y'all never want to come out here.
Never.
Like, I'm out here saving the world on Earth.
They didn't blew up. He got at least Hulk was there to help him, you know what I mean, unwillingly. But you know,
definitely unwillingly.
He got Asgard blown up. But at least Earth was refuge, you know what I mean, for the Asgardians. So, you know.
I mean, like I said, a lot of different things. Like I said, a lot of that stuff it's a lot that they're gonna get into, but for sure, how Doctor Strange is gonna come out this year. Like I said, Black Panther pushing out later, Thor 4 pushing out later. It's gonna be a good year when it comes to Marvel. We actually gonna spend the block and probably spend one of the debate episodes talking about which episode or what if was your favorite. We're probably gonna spend a block on that when they do that one. So on the next episode, which is gonna probably come in for us in the next couple of days, but for them it's gonna be a couple of months. We definitely gonna talk about the what if and what was your favorite episode. They'll probably do that. Which episode got to go? And kind of, I think we all kind of probably gonna have the same one that's got to go on that one too. So it's kind of trying to bring a little diversity, but it's not gonna be too much. But like I said, this episode has been greatly appreciated. Definitely an extended version. Y'all get the regular extended cliff notes. Y'all got all of it in one. So this one's gonna be a long episode, but it's gonna be near because we touched on old stuff, new stuff, and stuff that's coming up now. So it's gonna be a good filler of information on this debate show. But once again, I want to thank my brothers for coming on. We did a good talk. You guys will see them on other content I have. My recap and relax. If I could ever find a day where we all three can get on, I'll try to find that.
I know, right?
And the debate show, you're gonna see them on multiple episodes of that because there's a lot of stuff that we talk about that a lot of other people don't dive into as much, I guess. But there's a lot of stuff we see and hear that we want to talk about. So you're gonna see them guys. I got new episodes and new stuff coming out probably same time. So you guys just keep tagging along. Thank you to the 200 or so subscribers I got now. Hopefully by the time the end of this year happen, it'll be, like I said, way more. But like I said, I want to thank them again. This has been another episode of Who You Got, and we have picked between the 4 Marvel movies that came out last year with Black Widow, Eternal, Shang-Chi, and Spider-Man No Way Home. Like I said, the new stuff that Marvel has coming out, I'm anxious to see what DC is going to do with all of their movies. Of course, they already greenlit like Aquaman 2, Shazam 2, Flashpoint. All of those movies going to come out within the next couple of years, probably. The new Batman is going to be it's going to be hit and miss to some people, but I give everything a fair share. I like how they building this one up, and I love the character picks of Jeffrey Wright being Commissioner Gordon, and then Andy Serkis playing Alfred.
Yeah.
That because that dynamic is going to be, and like I said, I didn't watch none of Twilight, but I'm gonna give Rob Pattinson a fair shake because him playing.
That might show up in Harry Potter. I was shocked.
Him playing like I said, playing Cedric in Harry Potter, and then you got he wasn't in Fantastic Beasts, was he?
No. I'm not. He's dead. Yeah.
I gotta try to go back and watch that.
Yeah, I still ain't watched.
I mean, it's just 2 movies, so I mean, they're not bad. They're not bad at all.
Yeah. So, but I mean, looking at all this, and then what's the name playing Catwoman?
Nah, man, Zoe Kravitz, man.
Zoe Kravitz playing Catwoman. That movie is gonna definitely do way better than what people expect it to be because they expect.
Well, no, I would hope that people will expect it to be good.
Well, because they see Robert Pattinson, they see Twilight, and some people they don't think he can translate. But I was like, if you just base his acting,
people don't understand
see Twilight. I see Cedric Diggory.
Right, but people don't understand that, it's always controversies like that. People say the same thing about Heath Ledger. He broke back.
I'm gonna say Christian Bale. Yeah, bro. Right. I was like, so
Heath Ledger was
was an American Psycho.
Heath Ledger was fifth on the list. If everybody don't know, he was fifth on the list of people to play the Joker, and everybody else turned it down. And
if you haven't watched anything from Robert Pattinson since Twilight, you've been missing out because he's been last 10 years he's been killing it in movies.
Yeah, so
if you only been seeing him in that,
like I said, DC is known for being dark. This movie shows that. You can see it in the trailer. Dark. This movie is known for being dark.
But Batman's supposed to be that type of a character.
Yeah. But what I like about this one, 2 things. What I like about this one is that I think that the Nolan trilogy tried to put Batman in the real world and it made way too realistic. And this one seems to be able to balance out between the comic, extraness and real worldness. It's more like it's not like comic book Batman or real world. It's kind of like it was like graphic novel Batman. Like it'd be like in that perfect, middle range as opposed to like trying to be one of the other. 1 and 2, they went and got Matt Reeves that did the Planet of the Apes movies. He did the second. And third
I think his experience on doing like
that grittiness is like gonna come through.
And what we've been saying all day, like personal. Like the way they doing this movie is personal. It's about his family. And I like the fact that we getting to see the quarter owls type thing in a movie because you see it in so many of the animated series or the animated movies, but you don't. You really, I wonder how they would do like, because sometimes some things in comic books be so fantastic that it'd be hard to put them in a movie. But like the Court of Owls are very important to Batman's origin, and
I think there's gonna be a sequel too.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
the original Christopher Nolan's trilogy gave us Ra's al Ghul. So like I want to see like the Court of Owls because that's the other side of the coin. And too, with them doing this, they gotta take it wherever they want to go. Like, I mean, every Batman don't have to have a Joker or anything like that. But if you're gonna start introducing,
I like the Riddler and the
characters.
I like the Riddler.
Yeah, but if you're gonna start introducing characters, and you're gonna give me the Riddler and the Penguin in one movie, one's to say that like if you can cast it. See, that's the other thing. I would love. I'm always for a Batman and Joker interaction when it's done right and when it's not the same iteration, but like it's done right. Like if you can find me a Joker that's in his first few years, similar to the time frame of this rapper, and like they cross back, like something like that, and the person plays the Joker the way that the Joker needs to be played, I'm all for it. But don't put the Joker in there if you ain't got nobody, because the Joker is one of them characters, like he's iconic. Like don't put nobody in there just to be putting anybody there. They still killing Jared Leto for this Joker. Yeah. And the crazy thing about it is if they would allow him to play the Joker,
it wasn't his
fault. If they would have gave me the Joker that I saw at the end of Justice League, while he wouldn't have been my favorite, I could have tolerated him more than that fool I got in Suicide Squad. So
well, the story that they gave him was based off of the comic book. That the story that they gave him was him being the Joker.
He said it was a lot of cutouts.
And they cut all of it out, and they made
that movie terrible.
And they made enchantments.
That movie so bad.
Oh no, that movie is hot.
That movie up there with them Fantastic Four movies. That movie terrible. Like those movies. Like, that's a shame that they made that much money out that movie too.
All from now, that's a perfect example of good marketing with trailers.
Yeah, because the way they cut up that Batman versus Superman, a lot of them, they cut the movies that look so good. You get in there, you like, what am I?
Batman versus Superman fight scenes, great.
Well, great
storyline. trash.
That's fine with that title, but yeah.
They killed him all the way just to bring him back in Justice League.
So
y'all can they stuff.
And see, like that's to me, that's an example of bad marketing because they showed Doomsday in those trailers. Mm-hmm. When anybody sees Doomsday, you know what's gonna happen. It's the same way.
Yeah. Like it's in the comic book and it's in the animated series shows.
So it's like the same way like in Mortal Kombat when if you show Jax with his arms, you know they're getting blown off because he always gets his arm blown off. So it's like you already know that you see Doomsday. Oh, Superman about that. Like, and you just know.
And now after watching like all the DC animated movies and stuff, mm-hmm. like now that I think back on Batman and Superman, and I think back on what was it, Justice League and everything else, Batman vs Superman was literally the death of Superman. And then
it was two stories in one. It was three. Yes. Take it back. It was three stories in one. It was the Dark Knight Returns storyline. Mm-hmm. It was Death of Superman, and it was Dawn of Justice comic. So it was like the beginning of Justice League, the Death of Superman, and Batman Returns all in one.
And then when you got to the Justice League, that was not the Return of Superman, but basically the second part of the Death of Superman.
Basically the second part of it. So so
where he resurrects.
It was really stupid.
Yeah, it was very stupid. They put 5 movies into 2 movies and then wonder why.
Death of Superman could have been a Superman, a Man of Steel 2. Death of Superman could have been a Man of Steel 2. And and then they could have did the Justice League. Like
because that's what I see what you're talking about too. Though DC said these other movies were Superman movies, but they weren't.
No,
they were all Justice League. We got 2 Justice League movies.
Right. Man,
without Green Lantern.
It was stupid.
Yeah, they probably.
Without Green Lantern, then you're gonna show me John.
They could have had it. They could have had it so good, and then, but that's the problem when you let one man have all that power. Like when you let, like there's also directing. At least the smart part with Marvel or with Disney is that they have Kevin Feige as the movie producer, but everybody he hires the directors and all that. And he let them do their job. He has a vision where the movie starts, where I want the movie to end, where I want you to include. Now go do your thing. And he standoffish like that, but like they let Zack Snyder say where he want the franchise to go and direct the movies where he want to go.
But then don't want to then didn't want to let him complete it. Like I was like,
that part was stupid but that's why I told you it comes down to bad ownership because when Warner Bros. Is owned by other companies. It was owned by I forgot who was owned by before AT&T bought it. No, okay. But then AT&T just sold it within 2 years. They sold it to Discovery now, so they don't even own it anymore. So like when you have businesses over you now, Discovery I think is gonna do a good job because they also deal with content. Discovery Channel stuff actually deal with content, so they actually understand the Hollywood side of things, the business side of that. But when you just deal with businesses on you, all they care about is the bottom line. That's all they care about. And the good thing about Disney is it's ran by the whole thing is owned itself and it's ran by creators. So it's like them owning Star Wars is more content. Them owning Marvel is more content. It's still Disney is content. It's not like Disney is Nike and they bought Marvel. You know what I mean? And all they care about.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Is the same type.
They know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They know what they're doing.
Because they're content based. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But AT&T found out real quick that just because you're good at selling services and selling phones, that don't mean that you know what Hollywood, what's going on in Hollywood. So, yeah. But they found out real quick.
I agree.
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot.
But that's why I think Flashpoint is supposed to get up out of the Zack Snyder era some kind of way. You know what I mean? And then maybe they wrap up their series or something. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. But
it's gonna be a lot that they introduce, and it's gonna be a lot we're going to be able to talk about when it comes to this stuff. So I'm glad that DC is probably going to, like I said, switch their lane, do what they have to do, and Marvel's just going to continue doing what they're doing. But it's all good. And like I said, I appreciate my brothers coming on, man. It's been a good night. It's been a good time, man. And you guys will see them again. We will be back on another episode of Who You Got. I want to thank them again. And I'll see you guys again next week on another episode. You feel me?